Hello guys, I'm Kobna.
And I'm Lux.
And for the first time, I think we're gonna be discussing a movie in this talk through.
I actually guess so.
We haven't done that. We haven't done that before, haven't we?
No, but I thought this was quite an interesting movie.
Yeah. I think it's safe to say that this was your idea.
It was my idea. We watched the Fullmetal Alchemist movie released on Netflix. And I'm an avid fan of the anime and the manga.
I haven't seen.
You haven't seen either, which I thought would give us quite interesting view on the film.
Yeah.
Just because I know all of the backstory, I know the characters, and you were completely new to everything. Yeah.
And I'll agree with you. It was
interesting.
It was interesting.
Let's just say, for me, the movie didn't quite live up to the expectations.
No.
I'll just start by saying that.
But I think even within the first first minute or something of the movie, I was like, all right, so they tried to make another live action of an anime manga. Is that a good idea?
Yeah. And that's the big question, actually. Is it a good idea?
Yeah.
Because there are some things you can do in animation which is really hard to do in live action.
Yeah, and it's really expensive. I think
we saw the Attack on Titans films, they didn't do very well.
Nah.
They also changed the setting completely by putting it in the post-apocalyptic future or something.
Yeah, I think also to put it like in a perspective. I mean, would anyone care to watch a South Park live action movie?
I would say it's a bit different. I get
but I was also like putting it in a light perspective.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think one of the things is, like Attack on Titan, I would say even more, Fullmetal Alchemist has a really good story. A really rich world, which feels lived in. And I think the director wanted to kind of apply that to the big screen.
Yeah. To the real world.
Yeah. And I'm just gonna say, I think he kind of succeeded. Kinda. But yeah, I guess we should just delve into it. By the way, this is a full spoiler.
Full spoiler alert. Yeah.
Yeah.
We will not be holding back.
No, we'll talk about everything in this movie.
Yeah.
If you watched the anime or read the manga or seen the movie, nothing will come as a surprise. So yeah, I think we should start at the start. I think you should actually explain what happened at the start.
Yeah. So we meet two little kids, Ed and Al, which is, I think it's Edward and
Alphonse.
Alphonse. I keep like picturing Alphonse because that's very close to the Danish word for pimp.
Yeah, true.
So a little sweet boy has that name. That's kind of weird for me. We see them with their mother. The mother's then just, I assume it's a heart attack or something. She falls over and dies.
It's actually never really explained. She's just ill.
Okay, she dies.
Terminally ill.
And these two boys then decide to bring her back with alchemy, I guess.
True.
And it goes horribly sideways.
It goes wrong. You could just say that.
Alphonse totally disappears, and in a like attempt to get him back, Ed goes to some meta world or some purgatory kind of place, and asks this sort of humanoid shadow how he can get Al back. And he then suffers first an arm, and then I think later a leg.
Yeah, you're kind of there.
Yeah.
First he loses the arm for what he's done.
Oh,
and then he pays the leg to get his brother back.
Yeah, which then gets infused in some sort of pretty cool armor. A pretty cool armor, which I actually liked. I liked the
armor was one of the biggest pluses.
Yeah,
of
the whole character of Al, actually.
I think it was
liked.
a big meld of CGI and practical effects, and it worked really well.
We were in doubt, actually.
Yeah.
We were. Is it real? Or is it CGI?
I think it's a mix, actually.
Probably is.
Yeah. And it worked really well.
It did.
I'm just gonna say also that his combat abilities looked really like it did in the anime.
Yeah.
Kind of his way of fighting was really done well.
Yeah. So that was
Which it wasn't for Ed.
No, so you would say that the Al character was done well.
I think so. They changed a bit of things. Let's just say the revelation he gets that his thoughts might not be real.
Yeah.
It's much later in the manga and anime.
Yeah.
But I think the Al character was quite good. He's quite the innocent of the two, and it's actually a really fun dynamic because he's the younger brother, but really acts like the older one,
like a soldier sort of thing too.
Also, like he's the guardian of Ed or something.
And yeah, that alchemy trick by bringing her mother back actually doesn't succeed.
No, not at all.
And I was confused because I thought it was a dream, but we actually saw a flashback where grown up Ed was there,
and that must have been quite confusing for new watchers.
I thought it was a flashback, like he I don't know, made an image up in his mind.
It was
that this was what was happening, but we would get back and we see like a chart, have a body like chart. And sort of fades as sort of whistles away. Yeah,
it's really horrific in the manga and anime also. Where the thing actually moves and breathes and then dies.
Okay, but not successful.
No. Again, that scene, it was a really weird choice to have the whole intro, then cut away to the
grown-ups.
Grown-ups, you can't really say that, but teenagers of Al and Ed, and then going back in the flashback. But still retaining their teenage forms.
Yeah, and also when they do that alchemy trick, the whole house
gets torn apart.
Tears apart.
Yeah.
But when you get back, it's actually totally fine.
They never visit the house again.
No, but in the flashback, it's totally fine.
Oh yeah, that's actually true. That was also a weird visual thing.
That was why I thought it was a dream or something, because the house broke.
Yeah.
So.
You're right. It was weird. I think they should just have stuck to doing a whole intro bit.
Yeah.
And then seeing him doing all the horrific things, losing the arm and leg, losing his brother.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I thought the child actors were fucking terrible.
Yeah.
It was a really stiff performance.
Yeah. But to be honest, I don't think you can expect much from kids that are so young.
No, but it was really. It was bad.
Even I could see that it wasn't very good, and that's a sign of a bad actor.
Yeah, it wasn't.
But let's not bash the small kids.
No, but it's just to point out it wasn't the greatest performance.
No.
And then what happens?
Then we get to grown up Ed and Al, and we see them running through various European towns that
which confused you quite a lot.
Which confused me because are we now in Florence? What? And now
I'll say that again.
Florence?
No, it almost sounded like a mumbled of France.
France. But like I saw bits of cities that I actually have been in.
Yeah.
So it was, and I remember saying it like 2 or 3 times. Like, all right, this is Florence. All right, this is like a someplace in England. And Lux was just like, no, it's in this universe. It has nothing to do. Getting kind of frustrated with me not like immersing myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, we see them chasing some priest. That's half
a philosopher's stone.
A philosopher's stone. I completely forgot the name.
Or sorcerer's stone if you're an American.
Yeah.
Just a little joke, but
yeah. And he then beats this person with his magic or alchemy.
This is actually the first thing. This is the first time we actually see this alchemy action.
Yeah, and you were pretty impressed. I was kind of torn.
I would say the stone monsters didn't look great.
No.
The earth pillars in that were fine, I would say. And him summoning his spear was quite good.
That was good. But I would say the earth monsters
They were quite horrible.
They were close to low budget CGI.
It just seemed like, I wouldn't say it looked like it was bad CGI.
No.
It was just a really weird artistic choice to have them look like that.
I was about to say, did you have anything similar in the manga or anime?
No. Actually, he uses these creatures we run into later, chimeras.
Yeah, okay.
He has made chimeras himself.
Yeah.
A mix between I think it's a lion and a scorpion or something.
Yeah, lion, scorpion, and something else.
Generally, in this universe, a chimera is just taking two animals. Yeah, a fusion between living entities.
Oh, okay. But yeah, it was kind of like the art director was like, all right, we don't have any ideas, just scribble something. And
it was. And by the way, those fucking stone monsters died right away.
Oh, pretty.
He barely touched them.
Yeah.
And this was actually one of my first. I was quite nervous at this point because we actually saw Ed fighting, and I didn't really. It's really hard to actually have the main character be the one you think is the worst of the bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't really have a lot of jump in his step. You could almost say spring in his step, which Ed really has in the manga and anime.
Yeah.
He was quite still. He didn't express emotions that well.
No.
I didn't really like Ed.
No. He was very with the expressions. He was very much with his expressions.
And most of all, he seemed angry a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And I would say there are hardships in the story. It's quite a serious story.
Yeah.
But there are also bright points where he's just, him and his brother on a journey.
Yeah. And also one thing you were not confused about, but surprised maybe about, was that it is an all Asian cast. And then the only reason I'm saying is because you say, well, it's actually weird because it's set in like a European sort of style.
It's set in a kind of pseudo-European country,
which also very well done with all the
locations.
The locations actually very European. But I was very quick to say that's to avoid that whitewashing.
I was just gonna say, if you really wanted an anime adaptation to have a non-Asian cast, this would have been the one.
Yeah, this or maybe Attack on Titan.
Yeah, I would say Attack on Titan also, because they have the names of kind of German, like
very Germanic.
Yeah, but yeah, because actually in the anime you get introduced to characters from the Far East, which are actually Asian.
Yeah.
And have this whole Buddhistic way of life, which is actually quite interesting. There's also their version of the Middle East, you could almost say, which is the Ishwala, the country known as Ishwala.
Okay. If we move further, then it's actually quite some time since we watched it, and it's a bit blurry. But they run into some town square. They meet.
There's actually
that fire dude. The one with the fire.
Oh, the Flame Alchemist.
Yeah.
Mustang.
Roy
Mustang.
They meet Mustang and his little general, which is not a big part of the movie.
No, which
was very weird for you.
Yeah, because she's actually, I wouldn't say she's one of the major characters, but she's one of the biggest side characters.
Yeah. And she said in the time movie, she maybe said
2 words also.
Yeah, not a lot.
And she's quite important to Mustang, which you really didn't get in this movie.
Nah.
We also meet the 3 homunculi.
Yeah, but that's way later.
No, you actually meet them after the priest has been defeated. He confronts them in the bell tower.
Yeah, but he is defeated in the square where you meet the fire alchemist.
Yeah, that's true. But just to
you're speeding it up, and I think that's fine.
Yeah.
So the priest gets to meet the 3 homunculi, which he is working for, I guess, in some way.
They provided him the Philosopher's Stone. It also breaks. That's perhaps quite important to know.
I would say the kind of fake Philosopher's Stone, maybe.
It's a Philosopher's Stone, but what they really don't explain in this movie is Philosopher's Stone kind of it's like a giant battery.
Yeah.
Depending on the amount of souls in the Philosopher's Stone.
It was just, it said, Mustang said it was a fake because he was able to burn it.
And
he doesn't know.
Yeah, and it's a weird point actually. It's just in the manga, the priest just uses it too much.
Yeah.
So it runs out of juice.
Alright.
And then breaks.
Okay. But he reached those 3 homunculi, which I guess is the 3 of the 7 deadly sins.
We only get to see 3 of the 7
movie.
deadly sins.
Yeah.
Which was a bit weird.
Yeah. Also, after seeing it and after discussing it with you, also thought maybe it was a CGI thing. Because all of them had to, not the persons themselves, but when they had their effects, it was envy, it was lust, and it was
gluttony,
right? When they did their thing, I think that was kind of CGI heavy.
Yeah,
maybe,
I would say Lust was one of the big ones with her power, and Gluttony. Envy wasn't the worst because that
was just a phase out. But I think if they had to have all 7, it would first of all be maybe a bit too much in the movie and a bit too expensive.
Yeah,
CGI-wise.
It also just.
But it was weird that they didn't at all explain where the 4 other people
and who the hell these homunculi were, where they came from, what their goals were.
It's also safe to say that this movie sets up a sequel, big time.
It really. It felt like a part 1 of 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Which is not a good thing when you just release a standalone movie.
Yeah, I think we actually talked about this before once. I can't remember with what.
I think you make the comparison to the Warcraft movie. You've done that before.
Yeah.
When we talked about Paper Girls.
I think was it that early? All right, but that's the thing that this
that
movie.
Early Paper Girls. That was.
No. I mean, was it that soon? Back in time, just that talk about you can easily make a trilogy, but you have to make sure that every movie can stand on its own 2 legs.
And I would say again, the Warcraft movie is a better example of something setting up a universe
than this is,
but still have its own story and its own functioning movie.
Yeah,
it was much. The Warcraft movie was much better at that than this movie was.
Yeah. I actually have, I think, probably the perfect example for what a standalone movie with that wants to raise questions beyond the movie. I went in to see 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which is nominated for an Oscar for Best Picture, I think.
I've heard of it.
Extremely good movie with Woody Harrelson in it. But they actually leave a ton of. I mean, it's a very original film in the way it's set up because you actually don't get a lot of answers in the end. You get where most characters are going, but you don't know if I can just a little spoiler alert. At the end, the main character and another person are driving to Idaho to kill a person.
Oh,
in the pursuit of killing a person, but we don't know. Actually, one of the last lines in the movie is, "Are we sure about this? Is this something we can go through?"
So it's quite an open-ended,
very open ending, and it's leaving like us, the viewers, to like make up our own ending.
Yeah, and that's much better.
That's much better than this, where we just like
this is quite forced.
What?
Yeah, and that's actually one of the major flaws I think of this movie. Yeah. Just to get a bit out of, instead of explaining it bit by bit, I'm just gonna say the plot didn't make sense.
I have trouble remembering the plot. Was it just him finding a Philosopher's Stone to get Al back?
Well, that's his
quest.
That's his quest. But there's a much bigger military plot going on in the background in the manga and anime. And they also tried this military subplot in the movie. I wouldn't say that they succeeded.
No.
We met this guy, Hakuri, I think his name was.
Yeah, the top guy.
He was. He seemed like he was Mustang's mentor, or something like that.
Yeah, at least superior.
Yeah, superior. And he suddenly enters a room and is like, "We've made these dolls. They are scary, and we've made these Philosopher's Stones. Now we're gonna put the Philosopher's Stones into the dolls, and they're gonna take over the world." And we're like, Hakuto, why do you want to take over the world?
Yeah.
Because evil shit.
He didn't even admit that. I think he's just, I want to take over the world.
Yeah.
And everyone was just like, alright, sounds legit.
And that's
and we was like, no, does not sound legit.
That's not enough. Just to say, I want to take over the world. That's a poor excuse.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest changes they actually made, I'm going to say, is the life-weaving alchemist, Shu Tucker, which was the one who had Nina and Alexander.
Yeah. Fucking weirdo.
Yeah. Actually, just to go quickly back to that scene with Tucker.
Yeah.
I think you were actually a bit surprised at what happened.
Very.
You hadn't really seen it coming.
No, because I didn't know. I think the main thing that went over my head is I didn't know he like fused humans with those things.
That's the big twist, because you aren't allowed to do that.
Okay.
You shouldn't do that.
No.
That's again one of the Ed and Al says it at the start of the movie. It's legal to do human transmutation.
Yeah.
Because it goes wrong every time.
Yeah.
Something horrible happens.
Yeah. So I think because I hadn't seen that coming, I was like, oh, he did that.
I think it's actually quite, if you really wanted to get into it, you could actually discuss the whole ethical reasoning of it's okay to use animals and fuse them together.
Yeah.
But you see how horrible it goes when you fuse an animal and a human.
Yeah, that was a scary creature.
I think also one of the terrible facts is when you know that it's actually his wife he fused, and the only thing the wife wanted to say was, "Kill me now. Kill me."
Yeah. That's also kind of dark.
Yeah.
But that was a scene where I was like, all right, that was a good scene, and he sold it, Tucker. He was a good actor.
Mm. And he did it quite well, and I think he actually sold the whole thing of concerned father. He was afraid of losing his state alchemist fund
license.
Yeah, his license and the fund for his research.
Yeah.
And he really sold the idea of kind of like he wanted to do good, but he didn't see any reason. He couldn't figure anything out except fusing his daughter and his dog together. It was such a cute dog. Yeah. But what I wanted to say is they actually really changed his role, because after that he gets arrested.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say he gets arrested, and in the manga anime he's then killed.
Okay.
And so is Nina and Alexander.
Oh, that's sad.
That's really sad, because Al and Ed
But I guess like many would see it like as a freak of nature that just needs to be put down.
And that's what the killer actually. That's his reasoning. Yeah. That this girl can't be saved.
No. But we find out maybe later that she can be saved.
It might have been possible. They don't really get a method of saving her.
Okay.
But it's a really big motivation for the characters that they weren't able to save this girl. It's a really big character moment for the both of them, which we don't really. I think Ed mentions it one time. He says something like, "We weren't able to save one little girl. Yeah. How can we save ourselves?" Yeah. I think he says it right when Tucker is arrested. Yeah. But this kind of.
But in the movie, we actually don't know what happens to the.
No, actually, that's a quite good point. But what I wanted to say is, it's quite weird that they arrest Tucker in the movie. I'm just gonna say this is the movie.
Yeah.
And then we find out he's actually working for the government. That's what we actually find out in the movie, that he's the one who's helped make these
dolls,
philosopher's stones, I guess.
Yeah. You don't think he has any part in the dolls?
I guess so. But
philosopher's stones.
Philosopher's and the dolls, which is quite weird, because why then would you arrest him? I think they would just break him out. He actually also gets broken out quite quickly.
Yeah, but then you can ask the question, is it the government who just let him go and said he broke out?
I think it was the government. It's the government who's doing this whole plot of the dolls and the philosopher's stones.
Yeah.
But it's quite weird that they shoehorned him in to be kind of the villain.
Yeah.
It also kind of ruined his character, I would almost say.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, again, I don't know him in the anime manga, so I can't say, but he took a very, very dark turn for being a confused but
caring,
a caring scientist that initially wanted to do good to a person who just wanted to wreck shit.
Yeah, he just seemed crazy at
the end.
Yeah, which I thought was not very good.
Yeah, and then there's the end with the homunculi where they actually find out that they are not...
They're made from Philosopher's Stones. That's one of the big things.
But I think in the start, I can't remember when, but we found out that these homunculi can't really be killed.
It's quite... we learned that quite quickly.
Yeah. And
you had this question... you asked it a lot. How do you kill them?
Yeah, because I assumed that someone found out in the anime or manga. But then we actually find out at the very end, in what I guess is the climax of the movie, Envy gets burned alive. Or not.
Yeah, that was...
Dun dun dun.
He also burns Lust.
Does he burn her to crisp?
After burning Envy, he goes for Lust.
Oh. I couldn't remember.
And you see Gluttony kind of looking at Lust, and he was like, Lust, she's dead. Oh no.
And then just kind of...
And then he kind of, it's a bit weird, because they needed the Lost scene, because it's quite a important moment for Mustang in the manga anime. Yeah. And it's a really cool scene, where he actually he keeps frying her. Yeah. And she keeps regenerating, but at some point she can't keep up.
Yeah. It's sort of like that. The Philosopher's Stone loses juice, and then
that's
it's up.
They only have a limited amount of times they can come back, which we actually experience in the movie.
So now I actually can't remember at all. Does Lust die? Completely.
She's actually also in the anime. She's the first homunculi to die.
Okay, so she's completely gone. But Envy, as we said, got fried. And to a crisp, but then
after credit
scene shows that
he spits out a little worm.
Yeah, that's true.
Like a little green worm, chameleon,
like thing.
And I said that was actually quite clever, because in the anime you learn that it's actually Envy's true form.
A little chameleon.
Without the Philosopher's Stone, that is who he is.
All right.
This little chameleon thing.
Okay. That is very clever.
So I was like, oh, that's kind of good they didn't kill him right away. Yeah. Because he serves quite an important role. Yeah. I was glad they did the whole thing with Hughes, and they did it properly.
Yeah, we were at the beginning. I could also see, but just again, Hughes gets killed in a telephone box, British telephone box, by what we see as Mustang. And you were like, what I was like, yeah, you're right. I was like, that isn't quite right. Yeah.
But I didn't really say what happened in the anime manga until it actually happened.
No. You were very quiet about it. Yeah. But I could.
I was like, what the fuck?
You were like, wait, what is that? And I was like, all right, so that's the shapeshifter guy. Yeah. And you were like, yeah, that's true. But I could also... but we then see later that what's his name? The guy Hughes actually turns around and then see his wife.
Which is a low blow from Envy.
Where I was also like, dude, that is low. That is not fair.
And again, it's a really horrible scene where we see he's ready to shoot his assailant. Yeah. And then
it's the wife.
And we've learned that Hughes, one of the most important things for this character is his family. Yeah.
So that's and he was also I liked him.
He was a good character. The actor actually did a really good job. Yeah. He's one of the brightest spots in the whole story.
I would say so.
And they did him justice. Yeah. I'm also gonna say the girl who played Winry did it quite well as well. Yeah. I was actually quite satisfied with most of the cast except for Ed.
Yeah.
Mustang wasn't the greatest either, I'm actually gonna say. I didn't really like Mustang.
I think Mustang, he was just playing the casual superior officer, kind of emotionless. Actually, now that I remember, I don't think that I can't remember Hutch. Hughes, sorry. He didn't have anything to do with the doors. That was that other dude that they went to visit and then lost, like, speared him. That old dude.
Oh, Marco.
Marco.
Sorry, you mean Tucker. You meant Tucker.
Yeah. Tucker. He didn't have anything to do with the doors. That was
because he was there at the end and seemed like he was a part of it. He had taken Al captive, and then he said something like, I think you're right, and Marco was the one responsible for the Philosopher's Stone.
Oh, you think
so? And Tucker was the one responsible for the dolls.
Okay.
Because also Marco in the anime, he's the one who perfected making the Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah. And he's also the one, like, leading them to
the Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah. But I think we've been pretty well around, and we've been talking for like half an hour now. 35 minutes.
I'm just gonna
maybe we should, like, give it a
I'm not gonna give it a rating.
Why not?
Because I think I'm quickly gonna mention what I disliked and liked about this.
Okay.
I really think I could really feel the attempt to make this world believable and make this very, very big story concise, which didn't work. I'm just gonna say it didn't work.
Yeah.
But he tried, and I can see he kind of did some clever rewriting of the plots and such to kind of put it into a shorter story.
Yeah.
But I'm also gonna say we're missing big characters, which were part. I really think one of the most interesting parts of this whole universe is the Ishwalan civil war.
Yeah.
Which leaves behind a character called Scar, which was a soldier in the Civil War, who then makes it his personal goal to kill every state alchemist because they've been a part of a genocide.
Yeah.
And that character is totally overlooked.
Yeah.
He doesn't exist.
No, but again, they might save him for a sequel.
Yeah, but again, I would just counter argument this. He appears in the second episode of the anime. He's one of the most consistent characters.
Yeah, but to sort of counter argue all of that, I would say that when you take an anime, manga, or a book that is very loved, I think it's a very fine line of giving the fans what they want and appealing to new viewers. I think there's a
balance.
There's a balance, and there's also a balance of if they were to mash out a movie that did exactly what the anime and manga did, I think the fans wouldn't be happy because it would just be, well, we've seen all this. This is happening. I think the fact that you need new things to happen, you need new surprises. I've also written a screenplay about I don't know. It doesn't matter, but a book and a video game character. And I've also left out stuff. I also put in stuff because I feel like people who have read the book about him, people who have played the video game with him, will be disappointed if I just take his lines in the book and just pop it into a screenplay sheet. So I think I agree he didn't succeed, but he did the right thing in trying to take, like, the important elements to understand the universe maybe and mash them into a movie. But again, did not work.
I'm also just gonna say, I think we can all agree that the genre anime doesn't appeal to everyone.
Nope.
And I think this was actually one of the stories. I've for many years I've said, if you want to get into anime or manga,
Fullmetal Alchemist.
Start with Fullmetal Alchemist because I think that's actually it has one of the greatest stories, and it's not the longest, and it really applies some of the more Western
it's sort of a smooth
philosophies.
It's sort of a smooth transition into hardcore anime manga.
I think so, and I really think if you've you kind of know adapted that into a movie, it would have still worked.
Yeah.
I'm also one of my last points I'm gonna make. I think this story, as I said before, it's a quite sad one. A lot of things happen, and a lot of trauma happens. one of the things the movie did was, because it needed to have all these bits, all the important things like Nina Alexander's fusion and the mother's death and all these things.
Yeah.
We didn't really get to see any of the happy moments. We didn't.
No, it was very downhill.
And that's actually it didn't have that balance which the anime has between bright moments with family and connecting and all these things, and then hardships. And I think that's actually a really big flaw of this movie. Just going from plot point to plot point, the hard things.
Yeah.
We didn't really get any character development besides the big things.
No, I would say we got very little character development at all.
Yeah.
I think Ed is pretty much the same person he was when we started. Maybe not so naive and
I think also the actor doesn't really sell the character development there is.
The only development I see is in Al.
I would say Ed and Al kind of has it off the Tucker.
They have a fight. They have a scrap.
They're also just like, we couldn't save this girl. We need to be able to do this.
Yeah, but again, I think you said it also that it didn't really come through as a deep low, which I assume it was in the anime.
In the anime, like I said, it really lingers.
Yeah.
It's something they carry with them for the rest of their life.
Yeah, but in the movie, they sit 2 minutes on a bench. It's raining, and they said that was sad, and then they kind of move on. We don't hear any more of Nina or Alexander after that.
No.
That's kind of done.
Yeah. Which is weird because she's actually still alive.
Yeah.
We guess.
Apparently, I mean, we assume. But I would say when it comes, for me, a totally new person to it, I would say the only character development I really saw was, I would say, Al, and maybe Mustang.
Yeah.
Also kind of a little bit.
Yeah.
I think Al, with the whole, are my thoughts real? He kind of questions his own existence.
Yeah,
in a way.
I was kind of like, I felt that was actually a bit too
early.
I didn't really think it was necessary, if I'm actually going to say it.
Yeah.
If you wanted to cut something out, I thought that part, because it's very brief, it's just like he has these thoughts and then he's just like, no, my brother actually loves me. This is stupid. Let's move on.
Yeah.
So I actually thought if you wanted to cut something,
that could be it.
I don't see that as one of the most important points for either of them.
No, that could be true. And I think we see Mustang going for this authoritative person who doesn't like Ed or Al in any way, to actually kind of trusting them and believing what they are doing and supporting them.
That's also one of the weird things, because I wouldn't say
every character development is just weird.
Yeah, I would also just say in the anime, it's not that he doesn't like them. He's just.
But did you get that feeling that he didn't like them?
Yeah, I would say so too. Yeah, in the movie, I would just say contrary. He does it. It's not that he doesn't like them. He's just authoritative, and he looks out for them in a kind of strict manner.
Yeah.
And kind of teases them.
Yeah.
He's kind of like a pseudo father figure, I would say.
Okay, that didn't come across at all in the movie until maybe the end.
So, quickly, I'm going to ask you one last thing.
Go ahead.
After watching this movie, are you at all inclined to delve into more of the universe and watch the anime or read the manga? Has this actually ignited a spark?
No, it hasn't ignited a spark. It hasn't ignited a spark, because you've talked about Fullmetal Alchemist a lot and like made sure that told me that it's very easy. It's very easy to get through, easy to read. Maybe I can read it. This movie,
no, and that's actually one of the worst things, I think.
That's the worst thing.
That it doesn't really sell this amazing narrative, this amazing world with these amazing characters.
Yeah.
It kind of just muddles them all together in a horrible mess.
Yeah.
And for new watchers, they're gonna be like, oh, that was a horrible Japanese something. Huh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's...
I think it's actually done more damage
than good.
Than good.
Yeah. I want a rating. 10 is Shawshank Redemption. 1 is Emoji Movie. Where are we lying?
I'm gonna say 4 or 5. I think
4.5.
Yeah, something like that. Because, again, I can actually really see... It seemed like the director actually liked this property.
Yeah.
And I think he actually put some thought into it. Yeah. And not just did whatever.
Cash grab.
Yeah. But he didn't... He had good intentions, but he didn't execute them well.
No. Yeah.
And one... Again, I'm going to say one of the biggest sins this movie has done is damaging the property.
Yeah.
It didn't really help.
No.
I think you can say the same for the Death Note movie.
Yeah.
It actually also, I would say that also damaged the property.
Yeah, that is true. I think at least I was intrigued to Death Note, but after the movie I was like, like that death,
was stupid.
That death character is kind of interesting, but yeah. So, I think I will give it just because I'm new.
Mm.
And of course you're saying you gave your 4.5 with the whole backstory and the fact that wasn't allowed. In my review, I technically don't know that, so I think I would give it a point more, like 5.5, 6, because I actually think there's a lot of things that goes well.
There are some things that are good, like we talked about. Just Al's armor.
Yeah.
It's quite splendid.
Cool. I would also say the mechanical arm
worked quite well.
Of it, pretty cool. I would say the locations. I cannot put anything on the locations. They were pretty beautiful, actually.
I would also say some of the alchemy looked quite cool.
The alchemy looked cool. Yeah, so there was plenty of and the fucking Nina Alexander fuse, that whole scene I thought was very
really well. And that's one of the biggest scenes in general.
Yeah. But I can see that it might needed to be a bigger part of something, a bigger part of the movie, or it needs to have like more screen time. That whole story.
It actually kind of functioned like in the anime, I would say, because it's a very brief. They go to Taka to just get some research. They're there for a couple of days, and then it happens. Yeah. So they done justice to that scene.
Yeah, and I would say that actually I was like, that is fucked up, and I think that's the exact emotion the director wanted. To like have people said that is fucked up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say there's things working, but as said, I am not immersed in this universe at all. I don't know what is happening around the world.
That's also one of the things one of the last things I want to say is there was too much exposition.
Yeah.
It really was all the time. They were just like, we met this merchant who was like, how does alchemy work? Yeah. And then Al was like, well, listen, alchemy works by this, by this, by this, by this, by this. And then you're like, oh, I, the viewer, now know how alchemy works. Thanks.
How convenient.
And there was a lot of that.
It was.
Also, like Mustang going, that's a homunculi. They're man-made people.
There's a homunculi, and then pulling up the Wikipedia.
And that was a bit too much.
Yeah. And I even caught that.
Yeah.
So.
And I would also say the alchemy looked quite cool at some points. They didn't really delve into the bigger philosophy of alchemy
at all.
They mentioned it once, actually, the rule of what is it called? Equal. Fuck. Yeah.
It's gonna be like a word on the screen now.
Yeah, it's gonna. I can't remember. Fuck. That's annoying.
Yeah.
But they mentioned it once, and it's something the characters mention over and over again in the manga and anime, because it's the first rule of alchemy that you need to pay the same amount as the thing you're getting.
Yeah.
If you have a potato, you can make potato chips.
Yeah. But only from that potato. But signing off. No. That's not what I meant. Final statement on the movie. I think that you would have much more enjoyment by watching the anime or reading the manga than coming to watch this movie. Or maybe not watch this movie. Basically, don't start watching this movie. Don't start off your experience in this universe with this movie.
No. I was also like, after we've watched it, I was like, I'm sorry. This was not a good starting point for you.
Yeah.
I'm terribly sorry.
Yeah, I think I'm not as big a manga fan as you, so I think I'll be fine.
But still, like Kobna just said, what you gather from all of this, watch the anime. That's what I'm gonna say. Watch the anime or read the manga.
Yeah. forget this movie.
Oh, and by the way, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. That's the one you should watch.
That's on Netflix, right?
Both are actually, I think. It's just because there's the Fullmetal Alchemist anime, and they released that while the manga was still releasing, which and therefore the story changed quite a bit because they couldn't.
It was like they played catch up.
Yeah, kind of like Game of Thrones nowadays, you could say. And then later they released Brotherhood, which followed the manga to the point.
All right.
So I would say watch Brotherhood if you want the exact story.
All right.
Some people really like the other one, but I guess that's because they grew up watching that one.
There's some nostalgia there. But I think that was our take on the Fullmetal Alchemist.
Yeah.
I think we actually talked about making an entire talk through on Netflix originals in general. So
perhaps what we think of what these originals and
exactly,
and the whole.
So if you want to hear us talk about that, then maybe
leave a
us
comment
like
or something.
or a comment. But otherwise, this was our take on Fullmetal Alchemist,
the movie.
You can if you agree or disagree, please let us know in the comments.
And if you like our content, please subscribe.
Yeah, and fuck off.
Bye.
Bye.